So hey guys, welcome to my YouTube channel, and this is a tutorial on how I made this backless halter neck dress, okay, using 1.5 yards of the chest fabric, as you can see. So this is the back view, and it has an elastic and rope at the back, and this is the front view. Okay, so now let's get started. So now for this tutorial, I'll be using 1.5 yards of the chest fabric to do this. Okay, so let's start with our pattern drafting. Remember, we're actually trying to manage the fabric. So now just go ahead and get my bust point like so, my waistline, then I'll come down to get my hip line. Then I'll use the remaining length as my gown length, even though I'll still be adding more length using the fabric. Okay, so now I'll go ahead and repeat the same process. That is my bust point, my half length, my hip line, and the gown length. Okay, then I'll just go ahead and connect all the lines together like so, as you can see me doing, and I'll just go ahead and label them. Sorry, this wasn't visible enough, but from my explanation you understand. So the next thing I'll just go ahead to do right now is to divide my shoulder measurement by 2, and for the neck width I'll be using 3 inches by 3 inches. Okay, that's for the front pattern. So now I'll just come down by 1 inch on my shoulder slope, and for my armhole depth I will do 7 inches instead of 8 inches. Okay, because I am not adding a sleeve to this. Okay, so now I'll just go ahead and connect the lines, okay, like so, as you can see me doing. So from there I'll just go ahead and I'll come down by 3 inches. That's for the neck depth. Okay, and I'll go ahead and connect. Now remember, I did 3 inches by 3 inches. So now I'll just go ahead and extend my chest line like so. So from there I will get the midpoint, and I'll just go ahead and mark, and I will come in by, or I'll come out by 1/2 inch. Okay, now on the chest line I'll go ahead and divide my bust circumference by 4, and I'll go ahead and mark like so, as you can see me doing. So I'll just go ahead and connect all the lines together to give it that armhole curve. Okay, as you can see me showing you right now. So the next thing I just go ahead to do is to take the darts. Now I won't be using this darts, but because I want it to serve as a guide for my neckline tightening. Okay, so now I'll go ahead and input my nipple to nipple, half of my nipple to nipple measurement on my bust point, my waistline, and I'll come down by 6 inches. Okay, and I'll go ahead and mark. So now from my waistline I will come out by 1/2 inch on both sides for the dart leg, and I'll just go ahead and connect, as you can see me doing. So the next thing I'll go ahead to do right now is to divide my bust circumference by 4, which I've already done that, and I also go ahead to divide my waist circumference by 4. Now for the darts, if you want to use that, you can just go ahead and replace your darts, but for this I did not use that. Okay, then I'll also go ahead and do the same thing for the hip circumference. I'll go ahead and divide my hip circumference by 4, and I'll go ahead and mark. Now from my hip circumference, whatever I have, I will come down with it to meet the gown length. Okay, because it's not supposed to be tight, because I am not using a zipper at the back. So I'll just go ahead and connect it, okay, like so, as you can see me doing. So now to make the halter neck, I will come down by 1.5 inches like so from the neckline. As you can see me placing my tape, I will come down by 1.5 inches like this. Okay, that's from the neckline. Then I'll just go ahead and connect it to meet the armhole. Okay, I'll connect it to meet the armhole like this. Okay, to give me that halter neck neckline like so. Okay, now remember I came down by 1.5 inches. You can do 1 inches, you can do even as much as 2 inches. Okay, depends on how you want the neckline to be. So from there I'll just go ahead and extend my neckline like the darts, sorry, like this, to meet the neckline. Okay, so that I'll be able to get the darts of the neckline. Yes, to tighten the neckline, sorry, not a dart, to tighten the neckline. So I'll just go ahead and extend it, and I will come in by 1/2 inch on both sides, like so. Okay, so now I'll just go ahead and close it up like this. I'll go ahead and close it up like this, and I'll reconnect the neckline like so. Okay, as you can see me doing, I'll go ahead and reconnect the neckline like so. Okay, as you can see me doing. So now just go ahead and add my allowance to it. So you can do 1.5, you can do 2 inches, okay, depending on the allowance you want to go ahead and add. But it should be more than 1 inches when you're not using a zipper on this. Yeah, it should be more than 1 inches when you're not using a zipper. Okay, so I'll just go ahead and connect like so. So for the gown length, remember I said I'll be adding the remaining length using the fabric. Okay, like so. So now I am done drafting the front pattern, and I'll draft the back pattern. Now for the back pattern, if you want to use a zipper at the back, you can just go ahead and creating your zipper allowance first. Okay, then you just go ahead and start taking your measurements. Okay, so I'll just go ahead and get my shoulder divided by 2, and I'll get my neckline. The neckline for the back is also 3 inches. Okay, and I'll just go ahead and get my shoulder slope, and I'll come down by 7 inches for the armhole depth. Okay, and I'll just go ahead and connect. So now the same thing I did for the front, that's the same thing I will do for the back. Okay, we're drafting the pattern. Okay, so now I'll just go ahead and get the midpoint of the armhole depth, and I'll just come in by 1/2 inch. Now sometimes for me to do my back armhole, I do not really use that 1/2 inch. That is by coming in by 1/2 inch or coming up by 1/2 inch. Okay, I'll just go ahead and connect since this is the back pattern. Okay, so now I'll come down by 1 inch from the neckline. Okay, now remember I did 3 inches by 1 inches for the back. Okay, and for the front is 3 inches by 3 inches. Okay, so from there I'll just go ahead and get the waist line, that's the half length, and I'll go ahead and mark. So now after getting it, I will use my ruler to connect it like so. Okay, as you can see me doing. So from there I'll come down to get my hip line. Okay, yeah, I'll just come down to get my hip line like so, as you can see me doing. I'll come down to get my hip line like so, and I'll just go ahead and mark. Okay, as you can see me doing. So the next thing I just go ahead to do is to divide my bust circumference on the chest line by 4, and I'll just go ahead and add my allowance, and I'll do the same thing on the waist circumference. I'll divide it by 4, and I'll go ahead and add, and I'll also do the same thing on the hip circumference. I'll divide it by 4, and I'll just go ahead and add my allowance to it. Okay, like so. I'll go ahead and add my allowance to it like so, as you can see me doing, and I'll just go ahead and extend the measurement I have on the hip line. Okay, and I'll bring it down to meet the gown length like so. Okay, so when I'm done, I'll just go ahead and connect all my lines together like so, as you can see me doing. Now you can actually do this directly on your fabric, but because I want to really like manage the 1.5, yeah, that's 1.5 yards of fabric. That is why I'm drafting a pattern. Okay, so now for those of you that want to use a zipper on the back, you can just go ahead and eliminate your zipper bulge. Okay, that's by coming in by 1/2 inch on the waistline. Okay, that's if you don't want to use an elastic to hold it, you want a zipper instead. So you can just go ahead and do your zipper, you eliminate your zipper bulge, and that is all. Okay, so guys, now for the back neckline, remember it's a backless. So from the chest line, I'll just go ahead and roll a line, and I'll just cut it off. Okay, because I won't be using the upper part is a backless, okay, because I won't be using the upper part. So I'll just go ahead and extend the chest line, and I will cut the upper parts. Okay, so now I'm gonna head to transfer it to my fabric. Yes, I've placed the pattern on my fabric like so. So you can see the remaining length I said I will be adding. Okay, so now after that, I'll just go ahead and measure my round neck. Okay, yes, I use my tape to measure my round neck, and for me I got 15 inches and I added 1 inches. Okay, that is 16 inches. Then on fold I did 2 inches on fold. Okay, so I'll just go ahead and add an hairstay to it. Now after adding an hairstay to it, I went ahead and iron it using half of an inch on the both sides. Okay, so now I am done, and I'll just go ahead and notch the midpoint like so. Okay, so now the next thing I'll just go ahead to do right now is to measure my round neck like this, okay, of the dress. I'll just go ahead and measure my round neck of the dress. Now remember, I'm not gonna head to fold it because I will fold the two sides as the armhole of the dress. So I'll minus 1 inch because I'll be using ½ inch of to fold on both sides. That's 1 inch. So now whatever I have, I'll just go ahead and come in by both sides on the measurement. Okay, let's say by the time I measure the round neckline of the main dress, I had 4 inches, which is on fold. So now from the midpoint of this cape, this cape that I'm trying to mark here, I will come in by 3 inches on both sides. Okay, as you can see me doing, so that by the time I am done, it will be able to pass into it. Okay, so now I'll just go ahead right now and I will sew it. Okay, I'll close the two sides together, then I will sew, leaving the opening, leaving the 6 inches. Remember I did 3 inches on one side and 3 inches on the other side, that is 6. Okay, I'll go and sew it and I will leave it there. So guys, I am done sewing it and I went ahead to iron it, and also went ahead to sew the sides. Okay, that's the armhole of the dress. Okay, and the next thing I'll just go ahead to do right now is to pass the neckline inside the, is it collar? Okay, but I don't know what to call it, like this. Okay, I'll just go ahead and push it inside. Okay, now remember I ironed it on fold, okay, to give me a neat finishing. I'll just go ahead and put it inside like this. Okay, so that I'll be able to sew it neatly. Okay, so from there I'll just go ahead and match on the tip. Okay, on the tip of the neckline like this. Okay, so this is the inside and this is the outside. Okay, so I am done sewing it like this, and this is what we have. So you can see how neat it is. Okay, so now for the back neckline, I'll just go ahead and notch the waistline so that by the time I want to shape, they'll meet at the same point like so. Okay, so now the next thing I'll just go ahead to do right now is to sew this upper part. Okay, now remember to add allowance to the upper parts so that by the time you go ahead and sew it, you'll be able to like have your elastic casing allowance, okay, to it. Okay, so now I'll just go ahead and mark the allowance, okay, of the dress. Now I will do this before passing my elastic, that is I will shape, but when shaping I will just come down by 1 inch from this chest line area so that I'll be able to pass my elastic at the back. Then I'll just go ahead and sew it. Okay, so now I'll just go ahead. Now remember I added 2 inches sewing allowance to this, but I will shape it with 1 inch, right? Okay, so now for my belt, I went ahead to cut out my belt and I'll pass it in so that I will shape it together. Okay, so this is optional if you want to use a belt or you don't want to use a belt. Okay, and that's fine. So I'll just go ahead and pass it inside, okay, so that by the time I want to shape it, I will just go ahead and shape it together. Now remember I said since I am not using a zipper, I am using an elastic at the back. Okay, now you can use this method and use a zipper at the back, okay, and that's fine. So I'll just go ahead to shape. Okay, So guys, I am done shaping, and on the sides I went ahead to open it up. That's for the slit. Okay, I came up by 20 inches from the hemline to get my slit, and on the back I also went ahead to insert an elastic to it. Now this elastic is very free, it's not tight. Okay, I went ahead to insert an elastic to it. And for the front neckline, that is this collar in front, I went ahead to add a hook and eye. Okay, so that I'll be able to hold them together. Bye.